The camera's already rolling in 100 hands when the first laugh cracks the noon heat, a bright, cruel sound that bounces off the marble like a coin flicked at a saint. Sun burns on white stone, the air shimmers with heat and reverence. Flags snap hard above the tomb, their shadows slicing the steps like dark metronomes. Flag snapping. Boots ring the stone with a rhythm older than pride. Boots striking stone. The scent is sun-warmed granite and faint gun oil, clean and metallic in the throat. This ground asks for quiet. It receives a performance. "Look at this," the senator says, smile tight as a fist. Aides hover at his shoulders, ties fluttering in the sharp wind. He gestures grandly at the guard, as if unveiling a prop. Taxpayer theater, march, pose, repeat. Cameras blink like impatient stars. Camera shutters. A school group tightens near the velvet rope, fingers brushing the rough braid with curiosity and fear. The guard pivots, 21 steps measured with the surgeon's certainty, the rifle bright enough to throw fire into the senator's eyes. Rifle snapping, his jaw is pure granite, his breath is a line between worlds. He does not look at the man who wants to be the center, he looks beyond, past heat and cameras and opinion, into the silence bought by names we don't know. "Hero cosplay," the senator murmurs for a cluster of microphones. "We pay for precision parades while real work waits. Maybe he'll salute the budget next." His grin doesn't reach the eyes. The bitterness of coffee rides his breath, sour in the hot wind. Wind gusting through arches. A boy whispers to his teacher, "Why is he talking loud?" The teacher puts a finger to her lips, the texture of the velvet rope rasping a warning under her palm. The guard turns again, heels striking like a gavel, boots striking stone, sweat beads on foreheads in the crowd, the marble itself radiates warmth into shoes and bones. The senator lifts his chin to the cameras, catching the light like it owes him money. "Ask him a question," an aide prompts, voice slick. "Get him to respond." The senator steps closer to the boundary, polished shoes glinting. "Soldier," he says, shaping the word into something smaller than itself. "What are you guarding? Air, ritual, or just your paycheck?" He chuckles for the microphones. "Blink if you cost too much." The guard's rifle snaps across his chest, with a sound like a cut in time. Rifle snapping. The sun flares on steel, a white blade that forces the senator's face into a wince. He hides too late. The crowd inhales. For an instant, the world compresses into a single image. The sentinel square in the brutal noon, bayonet burning with captured sun, marble blazing behind him, flag shadow slashing across his cap. It's the poster history would print, sacred defiance frozen in light. The senator covers his eyes with a little laugh that strains on the edges. "See? A glitch in the choreography." He turns to the cameras, rolling his wrist like a talk show host. "Do you know what duty is, my friend? Duty is serving the living, not posing for the dead." A ripple runs through the crowd, disbelief, then anger swelling under tight-lipped restraint. A man in a wheelchair on the fringe tightens both hands on the rims. A woman in a sun hat presses 2 fingers to her mouth, as if holding in a prayer. The air tastes of hot stone and a distant cut of freshly mown grass, green sweetness trying to push through heat and hubris. The guard's bearing does not move. The precision of his stance is its own verdict. Sun scorches the brass on his chest until it gleams like small suns. The senator leans into the rope. It hums against the stanchions, rough braid vibrating under his suit sleeve. "This isn't sacred because you march," he says, eyebrows high for the lenses. It's sacred because we say it is. And I can say different." Aides exchange quick, sharp looks, their polished shoes picking up dust that won't stick to them long. The wind drives through the arches and chews the microphones with a dry whisper, wind gusting through arches. The guard steps, pivots, the cadence clean enough to slice the heat. Boots striking stone. He does not answer. Oath is muscle and breath, and the refusal to turn toward applause or provocation. The smell of gun oil is a cool thread in the hot day, a reminder that care is a form of love. "Come on," the senator prods, a little loud, a little giddy. "Say something for the folks at home. Tell them why they should keep cutting checks for silence." He grins at a nearby camera, pearly and practiced. Maybe he can't speak without a script. The school children have gone completely still. A girl's fingers worry the velvet until it burns her skin. The teacher's voice is barely air. We are guests. The guard halts, and the rifle comes down sharply, butt-kissing stone with a boom that jumps the length of the steps and dives into the rows of white. Rifle crack on stone. The echo rolls, slower and deeper than the heat, until even the flag seems to shiver. Every camera lowers for a heartbeat. The senator blinks too fast. Bronze gleam, white marble, black mat, blue sky. The colors harden to an American geometry that does not care for applause. "You hear that?" the senator says, recovering into a smirk. "Sound design. Expensive sound design." He raises his voice, pitching it like a bill on the floor. "People say this ritual teaches reverence. I say it teaches obedience. And I was elected to question obedience." He steps along the rope as if pacing a stage, shoes clicking without rhythm, heels tapping. Sweat darkens his collar. The linen of his suit wrinkles where real work has never wrinkled it. He plants himself where the light makes a halo he believes is his. "What are you afraid of, soldier? That if you speak, the spell breaks?" He tilts his head, letting arrogance carve. His profile for the cameras. Statue, toy, budget line. The wind softens. A hush swells. Even the shutters are careful now. The guard breathes, a quiet, controlled tide. He pivots to his mark, lining himself with the tomb so exactly that his shadow crosses the inscription like a seal. Under the sun's pitiless blaze, the marble seems to glow from within. The rope creaks where a child leans, then stills. The senator offers the last line as if generosity. "Tell the nation why you matter." The guard does not look at him. He looks past him, through him, into the miles of markers and the centuries of silence. The answer stands there, stenciled in stone and sacrifice. But the microphones need words, and the man who worships them will make a scandal if he can't find a soul. He smiles, sudden and too wide, choosing cruelty. "You're just a toy soldier," he says, bright and public, his voice cutting the noon like a blade. The crowd gasps. The heat itself seems to flinch. Crowd gasp. The echo doesn't come back this time. It goes forward, carrying the insult into a place where answers are expensive. And the tomb listens. The slap of words still rings, toy soldier, sharper than heat, sharper than noon sun. It echoes in the white silence of Arlington as if marble itself recoils. Crowd murmurs rising, uneasy. The guard does not move. He pivots, measured, heel striking stone with thunder, boots clicking hard. His rifle gleams, bayonet catching the sun like judgment carved in steel. The air smells of baked granite and bitter coffee drifting off the senator's breath. Sweat runs down his temple, but his grin hangs like a mask glued too tight. He leans closer to the rope, speaking not to the guard, but to the cameras. "Every second of this, every step, every turn, it all comes from your pockets. Taxpayer dollars for a statue that marches in place. Do you feel safer? Do you feel richer?" His aides smirk nervously, their suits rippling in the gusts that chase through the marble arches. Wind rushing through arches. The crowd stirs. Mothers press children closer, teachers whisper for silence, but the tension is heavy, sticky as the heat. A wheelchair creaks forward. A veteran, his medals glinting faint in the noon blaze, sits straight-backed, though his body is worn. His eyes are sharp, flint set aflame. The senator jabs a finger toward the guard. "That's not defense. That's theater. And I've seen enough theater in Washington to know a show when I see one. If we want honor, we should write laws, not march in circles. This," he waves dismissively, "is waste." The guard halts. Rifle snaps to shoulder with a crack that splits the air. Rifle snapping. The sound ripples across the stones, through the trees, into the earth where silence should reign. The boy in the school group gasps, tugging his teacher's sleeve. The hot air thickens with reverence and rebuke. The senator chuckles, voice high and strained. "Oh, dramatic, isn't he? That's what you're paying for. Precision parades, boot choreography." He steps forward until the rope hums against his thigh. The velvet bites his suit, its roughness a reminder he does not belong where he presses. The veteran wheels closer, cane across his lap, voice cutting through the hush like a rifle shot. "You don't mock him," he growls. His voice shakes, but the steel in it is unbreakable. "You don't mock this." The senator tilts his head, a predator's smile. And why not? Freedom means the right to question, even this pageantry. The veteran's hands tighten on his rims. "Because men died for this silence, because you've never worn the weight he carries." His gaze hardens, unblinking. "You never carried anything but speeches." The crowd murmurs louder now, a tide of anger, crowd murmurs swelling. The guard stands unmoving, a wall of discipline, a soldier sworn to silence, but his very stillness becomes a mirror, throwing the senator's arrogance back at him. The marble glows hotter, unforgiving underfoot. The senator straightens, eyes narrowing. "Careful, old man. I know what service means. I serve the people." He forces a chuckle for the cameras. "I was smart enough to choose ballots over bullets." The veteran's voice rises, quaking with memory and fury. "You were smart enough to dodge the call. Don't polish it into patriotism now. You dodged while boys died." His words hit like hammer blows. The crowd gasps as one, crowd gasp. The senator freezes, a bead of sweat rolling down his temple into his collar. The heat presses close now, stifling, heavy. His grin falters, slips, then claws its way back. But the seed is planted. The accusation hangs over the marble, louder than his laughter, heavier than his office. The guard slams the rifle butt into the stone. Rifle crack on stone. The echo rolls over the headstones like thunder crawling the horizon. For an instant it drowns the senator, drowns the cameras, drowns the whispers. The air tastes of iron and heat, reverence sharpened into rebuke. Legend burns in that moment. The guard, tall under a ruthless sun, rifle planted, bayonet throwing shards of light, shadows stretched long as if anchoring him to the tomb itself. Behind him, the marble inscription burns white, eternal. In front, the senator trembles under exposure. The veteran points with his cane, voice ringing. "The truth is here, Senator. Your record, your service, your silence when you were called. Don't you dare dishonor the one who stands watch, because you wouldn't." The senator's smirk buckles, twisting into anger. He leans into the microphones, eyes flashing, trying to wrest back control. "You want the truth?" he spits. "The truth is, I owe nothing to stone or silence, and if I have my way, this whole performance will lose its funding." The crowd roars in outrage, crowd shouting. The school children shrink back, eyes wide. The guard does not move. He doesn't have to. The silence he holds weighs more than politics, more than power. And the nation waits for the next word, the next break, the next blow to fall. The heat has softened into afternoon haze, shadows lengthening across the headstones like dark sentinels of their own. The marble breathes cool under the changing light, and the eternal flame flickers against the dusk, a heartbeat that will not die. Eternal flame crackling faintly. The senator stands rigid, jaw clenched. His grin is gone now, peeled away by the veteran's accusation, but he digs for words the way a drowning man claws for air. Cameras crowd him, lenses blinking red. His voice rises sharp, desperate. "Dodged. I served. I served in halls of law, in chambers where decisions are made. That is duty. That is sacrifice." The crowd bristles, the murmurs sharp and cutting. Crowd murmurs, tense. A schoolgirl tugs her teacher's sleeve and whispers, "Is that true?" The teacher presses her lips tight, eyes fixed on the guard. The boy beside her whispers back, "The soldier doesn't lie. He doesn't need to." The guard remains unflinching, shadow long and unbroken across the black mat. His rifle gleams against the fading light, a steel line that refuses to bow. His silence is louder than the senator's defense, a verdict carved not in words, but in discipline. The senator throws his arms wide, voice aimed at the cameras, at the nation beyond. "Yes, I chose a higher duty. I chose to serve with words, not weapons. I chose to fight in Congress, not in mud. If that makes me unworthy, then maybe we should redefine worth itself. The veteran's hands tremble on his rims, but his voice is flint. You chose yourself, that's all. He gestures toward the tomb. This man chose them. The eternal flame sputters as the wind pushes through the arches, wind through arches. The smell of cooling stone mixes with the acrid curl of cigarette smoke from one of the aides, biting in the throat. The senator scowls, sweat plastering linen against his back. His aides shift uneasily, sensing his control slip like sand through clenched fists. The guard pivots, heels striking with a crack that cuts through every whisper, boots clicking sharp. His body aligns so perfectly with the tomb behind him that his shadow stretches across the marble inscription, merging into the words, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier, known but to God." For a breathless moment, sentinel and stone are one. A boy's whisper breaks the stillness, awed and small. He is the tomb. The senator snaps his gaze to the child, jaw twitching, but then recovers for the cameras. Romantic illusions, he spits, bitterness like bile. You worship ritual while I work for results, and I swear this. If I stand in office another term, the funding for this pageant dies. His finger jabs toward the guard like a weapon of paper. Gasps tear from the crowd. Crowd gasps. The mother shields her child's face as if to block the blasphemy from sinking in. The veteran grips his cane like he might rise despite his chair. Teachers shake their heads in disbelief. The aides glance at each other, faces pale under the swelling fury of onlookers. The guard does not move, but something shifts in the air, heavy and electric. The smell of ozone creeps into the cooling breeze, storm's scent. His silence presses down like a storm cloud, crushing arrogance beneath invisible weight. The senator, red-faced, pushes harder, desperate for dominance. You hear me? This ends. No more parades, no more toys. Respect is not bought with boots clicking on stone. His voice trembles under its own echo, but he forces the sneer wider. I'll cut it, I'll gut it, and no one will miss it. The crowd explodes in fury, shouts boiling out, curses and cries of disbelief. Crowd shouting, the cameras drink it all, lenses wide, hungry for scandal and history. The guard holds steady, his silence thicker than any chant, more enduring than outrage. Legend crystallizes in the fading light, the guard's shadow fused with the tomb, his rifle upright, his eyes fixed beyond insult, beyond power, into the eternal. He does not need words. He is the words. He is the vow. The senator, chest heaving, grabs the nearest microphone, his face twisted into a mask of triumph and venom. Let the nation watch. Let them hear me. This ends. The flame flickers. The marble glows white in the deepening dusk, and the air itself seems to recoil. The guard stands eternal, but the night sharpens with a tension ready to shatter. The threat has been made, the sacred has been mocked, the silence has been dared, and in the coming dark, something will break. Twilight settles over Arlington like a shroud. The sun bleeds its last, and the floodlights snap alive, throwing hard white across the marble. Floodlight hums, clicks on. The tomb glows pale, otherworldly, as if lit from within. The crowd stands hushed, shadows stretching long and black between the stones. The senator paces near the velvet rope, his tie loosened, his face gleaming with sweat that the cooling air cannot hide. He leans toward the cameras clustered in red-eyed rows, feeding them with words sharpened for outrage. Mark me, he snarls. This ritual is nothing but a waste. Reverence belongs in hearts, not in budgets. A man walking in circles guards nothing but his own pride. Gasps cut the hush, but the guard does not flinch. His boots strike the stone with a cadence steady as thunder. Boots, clicking, echoing. His rifle flashes white fire under the lamps, his eyes fixed into eternity, past the senator, past the cameras, past every small noise in the world. The crowd presses closer, restless. A veteran whispers hoarse to the boy at his side, "Watch. This is when steel shows its soul." The boy clutches the velvet rope, rough braid biting into his fingers. The marble underfoot, swabtipi, eats cold now, a contrast to the day's heat. The air smells of ozone, storm scent rising with the night. The senator wheels on the guard, voice swelling into rage. "Do you hear me? I am elected to speak, and you are ordered to stand silent. Who serves the people, you or me?" He jabs a finger across the rope, his suit rumpled, his words slick with desperation. His aides hang back, faces drained, unwilling to catch the lightning he courts. The guard halts, rifles snapping into position. The bayonet gleams in the floodlight, a silver shard of judgment. He pivots, facing the senator with such precision the air seems to hold its breath. The silence after the motion is enormous, crushing the jeers, strangling the echoes of arrogance. The tomb behind him glows white, the inscription etched in fire. The senator seizes the pause, mistaking restraint for surrender. He steps close, leaning so near the rope trembles. His voice pitches for the cameras, ugly and loud. "Statues cannot speak, statues cannot think. And if I have my way, statues will no longer march on the people's dime." The veteran slams his cane to stone. "Enough!" The sound cracks like a pistol, cane striking stone. The crowd shifts, a wave of anger rolling. Reporters whisper into live mics, tension thick as storm clouds. The guard's chest rises. His eyes burn, twin embers under a mask of marble. He steps forward, boots detonating on the stone, boots striking hard. Another step, closer. The air quivers with every pace. Then his voice erupts, low and thunderous, rolling through the cemetery like a command from the grave itself. "Respect the fallen!" The sound blasts over the crowd, slamming against cameras and walls of white marble, echoing down the rows of graves until it seems the headstones themselves repeat it in chorus. Echo reverberates. Mothers pull children close. Veterans straighten with tears burning the ear eyes. The boy's mouth drops open in awe. The senator staggers back, face blanching, words dying on his tongue. His microphone squeals with feedback, spitting static into the night. Microphone feedback screech. His hand trembles on the rope, his smirk shattered. Cameras drink in the image, the sentinel in floodlight, rifle against chest, eyes fierce as judgment, the tomb blazing behind him like eternal fire. Legend is born in that freeze, a single guard breaking silence, not for insult to himself, but for desecration of the dead, a command that thundered louder than politics, deeper than pride. The senator scrambles for words, but the crowd has already turned. Murmurs of awe rise, then silence, thick, reverent silence reclaimed. Even the wind seems to bow, folding through the arches with a softer hand. Wind hushes. The guard does not move further. His words still hang in the night like a bell tolling. The senator, pale and shaking, grips the rope as if it anchors him from drowning. And just before police lights crest the hill, his face twists in one last desperate snarl. "You'll regret this. I'll bury this tradition, bury you with it." His threat cracks like glass in the air, brittle, breaking against the marble. The crowd gasps again. Crowd gasp. The guard's gaze does not shift. The silence between them is now a wall taller than the Capitol itself. The nation watches. The nation waits. And in that breathless dark, history sharpens its pen. Night has fully claimed Arlington. The floodlights hold the tomb in pale fire, a beacon carved of marble and sacrifice. Floodlights humming softly. Above, the stars scatter like medals across black velvet. The crowd is hushed, their silence heavier than any chant. The senator's last threat still clings to the air. Bury this tradition, bury you with it. It dies quickly, smothered by the sheer weight of where he stands. Officers crest the hill, radios crackling, blue and raw. Lights washing faint across the white rows of headstones. Radio static, faint sirens. The smell of damp grass rises as the night cools, mixing with the faint smoke of the eternal flame. The guard has not shifted. Rifle across his chest, eyes forward, boots locked in place, he is stone come alive. The welt of tension in the crowd does not move him. His command, "Respect the fallen," still pulses in their bones. The silence after it is so absolute it feels like prayer. The senator's aides hover, pale and trembling. Cameras feed every second to the nation. His face is gaunt now, sweat dripping down into his collar, his earlier smirk erased. He points once more at the guard, voice cracking. This farce will end. Mark me. But his words are thin now, shriveling as they pass his lips. The veteran in the wheelchair rolls forward, cane balanced across his lap. His salute rises slow, trembling, but unbreakable. Not a farce, he says, voice raw. A vow. The crowd follows. Heads bow, hands rise, silence blooming into reverence. A mother lowers her son's hand into a small salute, teaching him in that single gesture what honor means. The boy's eyes shine, wide and wet. Reporters whisper into live microphones. Ladies and gentlemen, one says breathlessly, this is history. The senator mocked, the guard stood, and tonight his words shook the nation. Camera shutters clicking softly. Officers step forward, not to the guard, but to the senator. They place hands on his arms, firm, guiding him back behind the rope he never should have crossed. He jerks, sputters, but the crowd does not boo or cheer. They stand in witness, letting silence finish what the guard began. Handcuffs click faintly. The senator's threats collapse under the floodlights. His voice dwindles as he's led away, swallowed by marble, by shadow, by the weight of men who do not speak, because silence already says everything. And the guard? He does what he has always done. He pivots. Boots strike stone in measured thunder. Boots clicking. 21 steps, flawless, pivot, rifle snap, rifle snapping. The tomb breathes again in rhythm, the world returning to its eternal cadence. The floodlights crown him in white fire, and the inscription behind him burns bright. Known but to God. The legendary final image unfolds, the sentinel marching beneath stars, rifle gleaming, shadow fused with marble, while the crowd stands still as statues themselves. No applause, no noise, just awe. The eternal flame hisses in the wind, carrying its smoke across the graves. Flame crackling faintly, wind carrying silence. A bugle sounds in the distance, its mournful call riding the night, as though the dead themselves respond. Distant bugle call. The narration closes like a verdict carved into stone. Senators rise, senators fall. Their words scatter like leaves. But the guard remains. His silence, his oath, his thunder, untouched by power, unbought by pride. Tonight, when arrogance mocked sacrifice, one command rang out and stunned a nation awake. And when the command was finished, he returned to silence. Because silence here is not emptiness. Silence here is eternal. If this story struck you, don't let it fade into silence. Share it so others remember that honor is not theater, it's sacrifice. Subscribe for more untold stories of duty and courage, and leave your thoughts below. Every comment, every voice is another step in keeping reverence alive.